Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. It's good to see you. How you doing? Everything's going well for me. And today I have something I want to talk about. It is this, tipping. Are you tired of tip? Anyway, we will get to that in a second. Otherwise, I hope you're doing well wherever you are today, whether it is day or night. Just glad you're here along with me for the ride, and we're going to talk about some silly stuff. So we are in survival mode here in the arena in Blade and Sorcery, and that means that 3 weapons come out. I choose one out of the 3 at the beginning of each round and make life very unpleasant for those that come out of those archways. So let's see, what do I want to choose? Ooh, that looks nasty. A little sickle there, or a really weak bamboo. Yeah, I hate that thing. Let's go for the spear. Boom. Let's get things going with our first traditional slow motion kill of the day. We're doing the ultra slow motion kill of the day. Oh no. Dink. Oh. So badass. I want to do another one. A second traditional slow motion kill of the day. Sweep. He's like a graceful ballet dancer. Oh, wonderful. And now with that out of the way, let's get to today's topic. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, tipping. Tip culture, yeah, it's a thing now. If you haven't experienced the warm and loving embrace of tip culture, you're a lucky person. If you are one of the people that don't seem to have a problem with it, I'm also happy for you, although I'm a little puzzled. But part of what got me thinking about this is I go regularly to a couple of places, a couple of businesses that do have the ability to tip, right? You have the ability to, at the end of your little thing, tap a little thing on the screen that says, how much tip would you like to give, and things like that. Ooh, And so it got me to thinking about it, because things have gotten really, really silly with tipping. So here's kind of like why it pisses me off these days. All right, so let's say you order some food, right? It doesn't matter who you order it from, whether it's Lyft doesn't do food, whether it's like Instacart or Uber or what's the other one? I can't remember the other one. Yeah, you're probably yelling it at me right now. I'll probably put it on the screen in post-editing. Anyway, so whether you order it from somewhere like that or not, you always order your food, and then there's that point where you go, okay, well, what kind of tip would you like to leave? And these apps always suggest like the second highest one, so it's always like you get something that's a $40 bill, it suggests like a tip that's $10 or something like that. So what you got to deal with is that first part where you got to go and say, no, I'd rather not leave that big of a tip. So then you start thinking, you go to the custom tip, right? And you go, well, the problem with that is, what is the maximum amount of tip that you are, comfortable giving? At the same time, the least amount of tip that you can give in order to make sure that the driver doesn't screw with your food, right? Because we all know if it's like, a $40 bill from Uber Eats or something, and you give a tip that's like, $3.50 or something like that, $3.50, $3.50, $3.50. If you give a $3.50 tip, you're probably not going to get your food in any state that you want to eat it. In other words, your food is probably going to be cold. It's probably going to have, you said that you wanted napkins and utensils. There's not going to be any napkins and utensils, right? You have very specific instructions on how to, bring the food to your door. You got, this is my apartment. You go here, and this is what you look for. They're not going to follow any of that. They're gonna go ahead and just put a bunch of, they'll just put it on your neighbor's front doorstep or something, and they'll take a picture of it and say, there's your food, doodaloo. Can I have this? Give me this. Hold on. Whoa, what is happening? Okay, get out of here. So they always, you determine that you have to leave a tip that's substantial, right? You have to leave something that's more than just a token little tip, or else they're going to screw up your food. So, like, that's the way it is for every single delivery driver thing that comes to your house. We use one of those grocery delivery services, okay? Because honestly, we started doing it during the pandemic, and it's so easy. It's ridiculously easy. You pay like maybe $6-10. Why am I like slow falling? You pay like $6-10 more, but it's totally worth it to not have to go and do all this shopping while you're hungry and all that stuff. That's never a good thing to do. So it saves us a little bit of money in terms of not buying a bunch of garbage. But, you know, it's got that convenience factor. The problem is, if you don't tip them, there's going to be a possibility that they're going to take all your bags and all, like, drop a couple of them. They're not going to put your refrigerated items in a refrigerated bag. They're not going to put your frozen items in a frozen bag. You're going to, you know, like, they'll do stuff on... I've had delivery drivers. I must not have tipped enough, because I ended up getting, like, they put the canned goods in with the bread and stuff. So, no, to be honest, I don't think I tipped very well on that order. But so it's stuff like that. Now, the problem with that is not that it's always available as an option to just tip somebody. That's not the problem. The problem is you are being held hostage by tips, all right? Again, the concept of if you don't tip enough, your food's not going to get here in any, you know, sort of fashion that you want to eat it. So you go ahead and oh, well, I guess I'll tip him like $6 more than I normally would. Oh, boy. Well, here's what annoys me about that. Is this a training sword? It is. I'm terrible at throwing still, so we'll go with that. But the problem is, it's like, you don't have a choice, right? The problem that I really have with it, though, is that back in the day, right? Back in the old days...
It's been 84 years.
I don't want this. Give me this. These can go to hell. Go to hell. But the problem is, in the old days, a tip, right? Otherwise known as a gratuity, was something that, well, you earned, right? If you were a pizza delivery driver, and I was several times throughout my life, that is a job that I've fallen back on a few times here and there. But if you're a pizza delivery driver, and you know, if you were on time, the pizza wasn't dropped or cold or something, you found the place to call and say, "Where are you? I can't find you," which happens all the time with the delivery drivers. Which is no damn excuse, by the way, because there's no excuse whatsoever for that these days, because, you know, GPS is a thing. Back when I was delivering pizza the last time, GPS was not really a thing. Oh boy, I'm all lit up again. There's that same lightning bug. Pardon the pun, lightning bug. But there was no GPS back when I was a delivery driver, but I made sure, you know, I had a map. I could figure out where it was. I knew the town well enough. That was no problem. But these days, no excuse for that. But the thing is, hold on. I think I might finish this round and then restart this, because it's pretty bad to have this zapping thing going on. Is she gone? She's gone. All right, hold on. Let me reload this real quick. Nope, not there. Nope, not there. How do I do this? There we go. Leave. Restart level. Yes. But part of the problem is that it's supposed to be a gratuity, a tip. Something that you get for doing an exceptional job at whatever you're doing. So if you're a waiter or a waitress or a pizza delivery driver or something like that, you show up, you do the job well, you make sure that your customers have the water and the meals delivered to the right people and everything, and bang. If you're personable and you make people kind of smile and laugh, you'll get a gratuity. It's not built in. I hate those ones. When you go to a restaurant and it's like, if you have a certain number of people or if you spend a certain amount, and this happens a lot in places like Vegas, they will automatically add the tip to it. And it's always like an 18% or something silly like that. Like, I get it. You should figure out, you know, how much a fair tip is, but I don't think it should be a percentage necessarily. There used to be, I mean, there was an entire industry of like little guides little guides and books and stuff that you could take with you, or little specific calculators that were made just for calculating the tip on something. You'd all sit around the table and you'd go, how much do we do for this and how much, It wasn't like they'd bring you a tablet with your order on it, your receipt, and then you just tap a little thing that says an extra $3 or whatever. And I get it, okay? Before we go on, I get it. There are certain jobs, okay? There are certain jobs that people expect the tip. Not just expect it, but they live on it, right? That's part of their income that they rely on. But when you have it as a forced thing, right? And the best example for these is a place like Starbucks, right? Or some coffee place where they, you got the person right in front of you. and so, let me see if I could slow this down to make it more like it. And so, like, you do your tip, or you do your thing. They hand you the coffee, and then there's that little beep beep thing in front of you, and they're just staring at you like this. Like they're literally staring at you because they know that that's where it says on the screen that the tip is, that you're about to select their tip, and so they just stare at you. They lock eyes with you, and it's just for a moment probably one of the most uncomfortable things that you can go through in modern society is that are you going to tip me thing. And it's everywhere. Damn, anywhere that's like they offer some sort of service to you. And this is a great example. We went to an ice cream shop, and that this woman that was working at the ice cream shop makes, an hourly salary that's impressive, okay? Because this is a well-respected place. There is always business. It's popular. It's been around for a while here in town, and people know it by name. Oh, let's go down to this place. And it's always really popular. Well, this woman, I know that she makes good money doing what she does. But there we were, Mrs. Orpheus and I. We got, I think I got a chocolate shake, and she got something like some sort of ice cream cone or something like that. And it was like, at today's prices, it was like like $18.50 for that or something. And then she's got one of those little digital things, the square payments. You've seen them, the white things that you just kind of tap. The little smaller stores, boutiques have them a lot of the time. Maybe street vendors at places. So I go and I go to beep beep beep, and all of a sudden the tip comes up, and it's like, what am I tipping you for? I get it, you made me a milkshake, but you are not a waitress at some sleazy diner on on Route 66 somewhere. You're not making your way through college by getting tips. And it was the most uncomfortable thing because this woman was like in her late 60s, right? And to insinuate that she needs that tip so bad, but it was like, get to the tip screen, and there she is. She's just staring right. Wait, come over here. She's not staring at me. Staring at me just like that, just waiting for me to do the tip, like, oh, not with her eyes rolling back. But that's how it is, right? But why? Why have we evolved to that point? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, I'm not going to say wokeism or anything, not like the woke community or the woke movement or anything, but it sort of stems off of that. It stems off of this idea that you're doing something, and so therefore you deserve extra money for it. And this is something that I always have a problem with. When I go to like crafting fairs or something, and people have made, whatever, my best example is like someone that takes, a piece of driftwood and glues a couple of squirrels, plastic squirrels on it. And they decide that that's worth like, $45 at the local flea market. Well, okay. Just because you spent some time doing something doesn't mean that I should be subject to your prices. Something like that. And it's the same thing with tipping. When you get to the point where you get to pay for something, it doesn't matter if you're at a restaurant or not. I've had tips asked of me at some of those street fairs, right? So you go up, you walk up, and you find out, oh, this person has a diamond painting of Garfield or something, right? It's already $38, right? And you're like, oh, that's really cute. I'd like to have that in my bedroom or something like that. And you go to pay, and it's on the square thing. and you get asked for a tip. Why? Why? What did you do? What did you do? Did you like make this for me when I wasn't looking? Was this like, is my name hidden somewhere in this photo and you just waited for me to show up, and so you go, huh? How about a tip for that? For what? Like, I'm already paying you for that. Now, speaking of tipping pizza delivery drivers, speaking of that a while ago, your old pal Orpheus, yes, that was his job a few times in his life. And let me tell you the stuff that I used to do in order to get, some good tips out of things. So, when a pizza delivery driver does their job, there are a few things back then, not so much these days. The funny thing these days is, like, when you're like a Lyft driver or an Uber driver or something, it's not just enough that you give people a ride. No. These days you have to have crazy taxi, right? You gotta have like, oh, I have complimentary drinks in the back. Just go ahead in the cooler there. Just pull out what you want. Oh yeah, you can vape in my car, no problem. As a matter of fact, let me offer you 3 additional vape juices that you can enjoy. Like they do all these ridiculous things. And they say that it's in order to get a better tip. But no, it's not. They are doing it because they figure they're putting extra work in, so you have to tip them bigger, right? Okay, well, in pizza delivery, the way that you get an extra tip is by doing some extra stuff for your customers, right? So if you know that a customer really loves pesto sauce, you might say, oh, that's Mr. Johnson. He really likes pesto sauce, and so you get a little extra cup of pesto sauce, you give it to him, and he'll go, oh, thank you so much, and give you a little extra tip. That is how a tip is supposed to work, right? You do something extra, you do an exceptional job, and the person that you're doing it for rewards you for that behavior, huh? Well, I used to deliver to a guy in my hometown. I just remembered this story. This is great. So, the first couple of times I delivered to this guy, he was very obviously into me. Like, he thought that I was just like the hottest thing since sliced bread. Like he used to say, oh, you look so much like Christian Slater. You look so much like Tom Cruise. Oh, you're much handsomer than this actor or that actor, and you should definitely be in showbiz. And like, at that point I'd already been in showbiz a little bit, so I was like, oh yeah, I should look into that kind of thing. Well, so money was getting a little tight one month. And this is the kind of guy, he would order pizza like 3 times a week just so he could get me to deliver it. It was that kind of thing. And at first it was like, you guys aren't going to believe this, but, Mr. Johnson really wants my number and, wants to have a little bit of alone time with your old pal here. And it's, at first it was just kind of funny. It was like, the people at the pizza delivery place was always giving me shit for it because it was like, oh, you're gonna go and date the guy, huh? And I'm like, oh, shut up, like I'm not against any kind of decision that people make, far from it, but I'm just not into that. So it was like, thank you, but no. Well, like I said, money got a little tight one month. And I could rely on this guy, but in 1 month I would see this guy maybe 10 times or so, something like that. And so I started, it was the summer, and so I started dressing in like smaller clothes, you might say, it was the summer, and so I started dressing in like smaller clothes, you might say, like a nice tank top that showed off my muscles because I was still a junior Olympic swimmer and stuff at that point. So I had the swimmer's body, and so I would show it off a little bit, show off my guns, and I would wear little like soccer shorts, the Umbro or something like that. I would wear those. Hey, dude. I would wear those and kind of... I'm sorry I'm giggling so much. This makes me so... like, I just remember this. This is hilarious. So he had, like, a porch and, like, in front of his house, you know, like most people have a porch, right? And so it was like a little concrete square. And so his door would be like here, the concrete square. And so what I'd do is he would order drinks, and I put the drinks, I'd put his drinks on the back corner of that little concrete patio thing, or porch thing. So I'd hand him the pizza first, say, hey, Mr. Johnson, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh, there's an arrow sticking out of me. And he'd be like, oh, how you doing, Orpheus? Good to see you. What do you got for me this time? It's like, of course, you know, you ordered what I, you know. So then they'd go, oh, let me get your drinks real quick. And I would turn around and bend over real good. So my butt was basically not in his face, but, you know, like a good view, right? I can't, like, it went from being tipped like maybe $5, which back then was a good tip, to like suddenly my tips went up to like $15. And he kept ordering. He would order more and more pizza. It went from like 3 times a week to like 4 times a week to like 5 times a week. So I think he was only exclusively ordering his food from us. And it was just like the stuff that I did. I'm not going to say I like manipulated him or something, but I definitely knew how to push his buttons, so to speak. But is that something that you've had a problem with? Leave in the comments below. What do you think is a fair percentage for a tip? Normally it's 15 to 18%, right, is the thing that you want to shoot for. But sometimes that's just not reasonable. It's not something you can just toss an extra, like, you know, $40 at something just because you spent a lot of money because you splurged one night at Benihana or something. Anyway, that's my little blurb about tipping. I'm a little sick of being held hostage by tipping, and maybe companies will pay a little better coming up here in the new economy, and we'll see if some of that tipping culture can kind of go away. Anyway, that's my little thing there. We'll see you next time here on Orpheus Plays. Be good, do good, and treat yourself well, because you know what? You deserve it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye!